I really bonded with me, myself, and I.
I recently watched the entirety of Batman the Brave and the Bold, and I am currently working on a video about the series as a whole, but I thought I'd just rank all the Season 1 episodes in this video right now. I'm pretty sick, so I apologize if my voice is terrible right now. I've not had the best luck with sickness and personal problems lately, but here we are. Starting off this list, this is only going over The Brave and the Bold Season 1. At number 25, there are 26 episodes, but one of those was a two-parter, so it's going to be one entry. In last place at number 25 is Hell the Tornado Tyrant.
There's a difference between justice and revenge.
That revenge is more efficient.
The difference is morality.
This episode is about Red Tornado creating a son. He's just a robot. Malfunctions, basically. Can't connect with humanity. He's a robot, so Red Tornado to begin with doesn't really have feelings, but he's better at expressing that and care for human life than his son is, so of course his son becomes a villain. I just don't care about Red Tornado. I don't care about this one-off character that Red Tornado made. I get what they were going for with Red Tornado having a son, the emotional strings that they attach there, but not a terrible episode, just the worst of this season. And next up would be when OMAC attacks.
What can I say, bub? Peace hurts. I doubt Buddy would agree.
So this episode is about a hero named OMAC, who is actually just some janitor guy working for, I forgot what the organization was. The janitor, whose name is Buddy, has no idea that he becomes OMAC. He's basically being used, and he doesn't realize it. And I like what Batman has to say about OMAC and Buddy, his counterpart. He says if OMAC had more heart, maybe he could be a real hero, like Buddy. Buddy has a lot of heart.
No, he's a person, and if OMAC had some of his heart, he'd be a soldier instead of just a weapon.
Next, we have Enter the Outsiders. This is the first episode that introduces the Outsiders, that being Metamorpho, Black Lightning, and Katana. I really like those characters. The thing I like most about this episode, though, is the utilization of Wildcat. I liked Wildcat and Batman's back and forth in this episode. Wildcat getting older, Batman bringing up that maybe he should retire soon. You know, he's just a man. He's going to have to hang it up eventually if he doesn't want to get killed doing this stuff. But I like all that, and there's a lot of episodes like that where the older generation of heroes and the younger generation of heroes kind of bicker and argue, blah, blah, blah. You know, that's a relatable thing. It happens in real life. Our elders will argue with us, we'll argue with them. No one really knows how to do anything right.
If I wanted you to retire, it's because you've been like a father to me. And I didn't want to lose another one.
So at number 3 is Evil Under the Sea. I said at number 3. This is episode 3. It's actually at number 22. So this is the first Aquaman episode. Black Manta and Ocean Master are the villains. You'll be seeing a lot more Black Manta after this episode, but Ocean Master, I don't believe, ever shows up again. But this is just a very basic episode, which is why it ranks so low. It's fun enough. Batman's trying to tell Aquaman that Ocean Master's up to no good. Aquaman doesn't want to believe him because he's family. Turns out that, yeah, Batman was right. Ocean Master is up to no good.
That was outrageous! What's it like inside a whale?
I won't be ordering the calamari for a while.
Next up, Day of the Dark Knight, episode 5 at 21.
Game's over, LaFay.
In this episode, Batman and Green Arrow get transported back in time by the wizard Merlin to take on Morgan Le Fay, and who turned Jason Blood into Etrigan the Demon, or I don't... See, I'm getting this in the Justice League episode confused, A Night of Shadows, because Morgan Le Fay is also in that episode, and Etrigan's in that episode. So those two episodes are going to kind of get mixed up in my mind from time to time, especially with the Morgan Le Fay and Jason Blood background, what happened in the past. But it's all about the sword to be pulled out of the stone. The one who is worthy will wield the sword, and it's between Batman and Green Arrow. I really enjoyed the opening of this, as well as Batman and Green Arrow chasing down the Joker during a car chase. Also, like the different suit that Batman gets in this episode. I enjoy when Batman gets a different suit in this show. It looks cool, okay? I just like seeing the different costumes that Batman gets to rep. At number 20 is Menace of the Conqueror Caveman. This is the first Blue Beetle episode. Not Blue Beetle, Booster Gold episode. My bad, I don't know what's going on with me right now. First Booster Gold episode, and the villain is a caveman guy that I already forgot the name of. Apologies. He's basically a less cool, immortal Vandal Savage. He's like Vandal Savage if Vandal Savage wasn't as savvy and smart. But yeah, Booster Gold, the villain, neither things I really cared for. I really love the opening of this episode, though. Batman and Wildcat are taking on Bane, and this is really the most you get with Bane in this show, which is a little disappointing, but at least we got something. We get the Nightfall reference of Bane breaking the bat, and Wildcat ends up saving him. Wildcat's also talking a bunch of trash about how Bane is nothing, he needs to be fed a protein shake, and then of course he venoms up, gets a venom going through his body, and it's massive. Wildcat takes back all he said.
See? He wasn't so tough.
Number 19 is Return of the Fearsome Fangs. And this is something that's had me scratching my head for a while, is every Batman animated show seems to want to do a terrible trio episode. I don't really understand why. I'm not interested in those characters at all. I like the incorporation of Bronze Tiger in this one, though, and I like that it tied back to Batman's training overseas, him training to become Batman, learning all kinds of martial arts and techniques. And at number 18 is Mystery in Space. This is a very basic, pretty bland episode, but Aquaman is struggling with finding the point in crime fighting. Why does he do this? His heart's not in it. So this episode is really about Aquaman rediscovering his love for heroics.
Ran is alive. You're alive. And where there is life, there's always hope.
Also in this episode is Adam Strange, a character I know very little about, still do know very little about. But I like that they actually gave an entire episode to a character like that, especially before 2008. Who knew who Adam Strange was? And next up is Journey to the Center of the Bat. Another episode featuring Aquaman, but this one also features the Atom. The Atom and Aquaman shrink down to go inside Batman's body and heal him of whatever sickness or mutation he has going on. He got hit with some kind of ray or something. I don't remember exactly, but his skin is starting to deform and he's slowly dying. He's still fighting though. They're inside his body trying to heal him, help him from the inside.
And the Cape Crusader, well, he took one in the face.
I'll be right there.
Next is the Eyes of Despero. Despero? I don't know how to pronounce his name, but this episode deals with the Green Lantern Corps, the main one being Guy Gardner. And this show has a lot of Guy Gardner, a surprising amount. But yeah, I don't really like Guy. He's pretty obnoxious. But by the end of this episode, he kind of comes around a little. So I like the little bit of arc he got. He's still hot-headed in later episode and everything. But what are you gonna do? The rest of the Corps was fine. Batman in this episode was awesome as he usually is. Batman is really what helped hold this episode together, because the team that was with him wasn't super competent, so you really needed Batman there to make it believable that they could beat Despero. Getting off the top 15, episode 2, Terror on Dinosaur Island. Plastic Man and Batman go to, well, Dinosaur Island, where Gorilla Grodd is taking over, planning to turn the human race into apes, and Batman actually does become an ape in this movie. We also get, in this episode, we also get some of Plastic Man's backstory, how he used to be a criminal, and he became a hero not long after because Batman set him on the path of right. So, interesting enough, and that will come up again in Season 2. when he...
I give you my word, I'll take full responsibility for O'Brien's rehabilitation.
Next up is Fate of Equinox. So Equinox is a character that is about the balance of order and chaos, or at least he was supposed to be.
Leave half the world in scorching sunlight.
The other half forever in frozen night.
And I said order, as you just heard. Dr. Fate is in this episode. I freaking love that. We do get to see the Lords of Fate and Chaos as well. They bring up how they created a child in Equinox to balance everything. And the way Batman defeats Equinox is genius. He's like, look, if you want revenge and blah, 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 your chaos is outweighing your order. You're not balanced. And he basically has a freaking meltdown. That's how Batman beats more powerful beings than him much of the time is his intellect. At number 13, Episode 1, Rise of the Blue Beetle. So surprisingly, the villain of this episode was Jar-Ro, which just, with it being a Batman show, I would kind of expect the villain of the first episode to be a Batman villain, but it's not. But also, the first episode of the show is a Blue Beetle show, because this episode really does a good job of showing you what this series is going to be. It's going to be heroes you probably don't know anything about, against villains you probably don't know anything about, on planets with beings that you probably don't know anything about. It's a great setup to the show. Blue Beetle, they introduce his character. He's good enough. I really like that he's voiced by Will Friedle, who was Terry McGinnis Batman Beyond in Batman Beyond. And at number 12 is The Last Bat on Earth.
Hermanson used my time ray to send himself into the future.
Then I need you to send me after him.
So this episode I enjoyed much more than I expected to, because this is a Kamandi episode. I don't know anything about Kamandi, the last boy on Earth. Dr. Canis, I freaking love Dr. Canis. I did not know he existed. I didn't know this dude was a character until I saw this show. But I like Dr. Canis. He's a freaking mutated humanoid dog that is intellectually superior to, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe his character, okay? But Gorilla Grodd goes into the future to take over the world so that gorillas are running the world instead of tigers or whatever is going on. There's a war between the tigers and gorillas. Gorilla Grodd goes into the future so that the gorillas will be the victors, because the past technology is actually better than the future technology, because I could see this happening. The 21st century is not that fun.
Grodd's using technology from the past to conquer your world. We're going to level the playing field.
But I just love that Batman goes after Gorilla Grodd, and he chases him into the future. He's like, oh, Gorilla Grodd went into the future with this time machine? Well, I'm going to go after him, okay? I'm going to go stop him. I'm going to time travel just like he did. Literally chasing villains through time. It is awesome.
You're going hungry tonight. Get out of my cave.
And at number 11 is Inside the Outsiders. That was Batman chasing villains through time. The Last Bat on Earth is. This is Batman chasing villains inside of heads. In a dream world, basically. It's Psycho Pirate. I like that Psycho Pirate is the main villain of this episode, because whoever thought Psycho Pirate would be the main villain of anything? He's feeding off the nightmares of the Outsiders, so Batman must go in to save them, talk them all down, get them to stop being angry, and at the end of the day, Batman uses happy thoughts to save it. Absolutely phenomenal.
I'm feeding you the one thing you can't stomach. Happy thoughts.
Kicking off the top 10 is Night of the Huntress, the first Huntress episode. Huntress is a character I quite like in this episode. This is also another Blue Beetle episode. I believe this is his fourth since the debut episode he had. And Blue Beetle gets quite a lot of screen time in this. He's maybe the hero that has the most, who's not Batman, obviously. But he's falling for Huntress hardcore in this episode, and it ends up getting them caught. The villain of this episode is Babyface and his whole gang. His gang's pretty weird. It's pretty out there, which is the point. I enjoy this episode enough. Blue Beetle getting all puppy lovesick over Huntress can get old on occasion. Eventually he comes around at the end, so all is forgiven. Overall, solid episode. It made the top 10 at number 10.
Time. Huntress, can you reach any of your crossbow arrows?
Let me feel around a little.
Huntress.
And at number 9 is Invasion of the Secret Santas.
Lacking Christmas spirit, it is something I wish to experience.
It's overrated.
It's that time of the year. We're close to Christmas. If you haven't seen this episode, I highly recommend it. It's a Batman Red Tornado episode. This is the best Red Tornado episode of the entire show, though.
Pretend you didn't see that.
This is a fun Christmas episode. It does have its emotional moments, though. There are some moments that are just absolutely heartbreaking because it goes into Batman's past and how every Christmas is a Christmas without his parents, and that's pretty fucking sad.
Sometimes what you wish for most is the one thing you can never have.
But at number 8, Duel of the Double Crossers.
Hex, what are you doing in the future?
Just trying to make it back to the past.
The one and only Jonah Hex episode in the show. I wish he had shown up again because Jonah Hex is freaking awesome. And I really like camaraderie and play that Batman and Jonah Hex have off one another.
I figure I'll stick around here for a spell. See what comes of it.
Good luck.
Mongul stole Jonah Hex out of his time so that he could so he could round up contestants to battle on Warworld for Mongul. He himself is not battling, but he eventually goes to get Batman. He brings Batman back to Warworld, and Batman is the one that defeats his champion. And
then you're about to be humbled by the hammers of justice.
And they bring the whole system down. Batman and Jonah do. Just seeing Batman and Jonah Hex team up, it's always awesome. Anytime you get to see it, it's a gift.
Go ahead. Face ain't gonna get much worse than it already is.
At number 7 is Episode 7, Dawn of the Dead Man.
Which brings us back to my present situation, hovering in another world between life and death.
First of all, Dead Man being voiced by Michael Rosenbaum, genius. I freaking love it. So in this episode, Batman is dead, not really dead, but he will be dead in 2 hours if he can't find someone to dig his body up. He's buried alive. So he astro projects himself out of his body. There he finds Boston Brand, the Dead Man, and he explains all of what I just said. Eventually,
Another dead man like you.
Only, I'm not dead.
Could have fooled me.
Eventually, they find Green Arrow, and Batman takes over Speedy's body to tell him that he's Batman, and this leads to Green Arrow doing a Batman impression himself, which I liked. And then Speedy gets pissed because he's actually Batman.
Observe the master. I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.
But I like Deadman's whole arc in this episode. He's wanting to go on the other side. Batman's talking about being called, and Deadman's calling him crazy for not going. He hasn't received that call yet. And
Not my business, but you're a fool for not going. I've been waiting for that light since I got here.
And Batman basically tells him, you're probably here. You're here for a reason. You're in this form for a reason. And that leads Deadman to help people in the ways he can, which, I love that. I love that most of these episodes have an arc. They have a character arc, or the plot. There's a point. There's some kind of point in all of these episodes.
Maybe if you weren't so busy feeling sorry for yourself, you'd see there's a reason you're here.
And at number 6, just outside of the top 5, is The Color of Revenge. This is one of those rare episodes where the opening and the actual episode are both one. The intro is not separate from the main episode. It's all matters. In the opening, Robin blinds Crazy Quilt during a battle between Batman, and Quilt himself. He blinds him with Quilt's machine, and 2 years later, Crazy Quilt is out for revenge because Robin blinded him. Robin is in Bloodhaven, though, not yet in Nightwing.
Criminals, right?
Look, I know you left Gotham so you could be your own man, but I'm only here to help. It'll be just like old times.
Batman shows up to Bloodhaven to help Robin because he knows Quilt is after him, and he knows how deranged Quilt has become. Crazy Quilt is obsessive over getting revenge over Robin, and I just love that Crazy Quilt is the villain of this episode, and that it's a Robin episode. I like that this is the beginning of Robin's transition into Nightwing. No Batman show had really done that before. Well, I mean, Batman the Animated Series and New Batman Adventures, yes, but I mean, right out of the gate. None of the Batman shows right out of the gate did Robin becoming Nightwing. I appreciated that this show did, because they know that you've seen enough Robin as Robin. Just get him over there as Nightwing.
I've always had faith in you, Robin. That's why I trusted you to work the streets of Bloodhaven solo.
Kicking off the top 5 is Mayhem of the Music Meister. I know this is some people's favorite episode of the entire show, and I can completely understand why too. It is a phenomenal episode. I'm not huge on musicals, that's the thing. I love music, I love movies and TV. Musicals are just something I can't really get behind typically. This really works though. The songs are actually good.
Fast. He really drives us fast. He drives us fast.
The episode is fluid. It's intricate storytelling being told just in the form of songs. Black Canary obsessing over Batman and Green Arrow kind of chasing after Black Canary towards the end. All that, the love triangle there is a little weird. It can get uncomfortable at times for me personally. I do love how Batman eventually defeats the Music Meister though, because he's brilliant, grappling a microphone away from the Music Meister and having Canary scream into it. And at number 4 is Fall of the Blue Beetle.
Ted made the ultimate sacrifice, and in doing so, made sure the Scarab fell into the right hands.
This perhaps is the episode I'm most surprised about. I'm shocked that it ranks this high, but this is the first Blue Beetle episode that goes into Ted Kord's backstory. The first Blue Beetle. And there is so much that is emotional about this episode. This episode had me almost shedding tears. And I think after I saw this episode, this was when I went, yeah, this show is something else. It's freaking special. Because I don't even know anything about Ted Kord. The fact that you have me over here in shambles for the man is impressive.
I just want to do the right thing. Like Ted would have done.
Spoken like a true hero.
Jaime is also in this episode, and he wants to know why the Scarab chose him, if the Scarab chose him. He wants to know that he was chosen to be a hero, and not that it's just a coincidence. The Ted Kord stuff is what really elevates it to another level for me, though. At number 3 is Deep Cover for Batman and Game Over for Owlman, the 1-2-parter in this season.
But what the heck? I mean, put it there! Oopsie batsy, old habits.
I really enjoy it. I like that this show did its own take on Crisis on Two Earths. I would prefer to watch the movie Crisis on Two Earths over this 2-parter, but this 2-parter is so different from that it could be a good double feature. Watch the movie Crisis on Two Earths, then go watch this 2-parter, Deep Cover for Batman, Game Over for Owlman, and that could be a really fun time. I'm not super crazy about the heroes that are utilized as the evil crime syndicate, and eventually we see in our world, of course, too, it's Blue Beetle, Green Arrow, Red Tornado being the big main ones. I really kind of wish they would have saved this for like a later season when they had introduced some of the bigger, more heavy hitters. That's just me though. I don't mind that they did that. Red Tornado is the main one that I wasn't really a fan of, because Red Tornado is just, I don't know. Does he really have a character? He's just a robot. How much am I supposed to care about this guy? Anyway, there are 3 reasons, and really, well, I should say 4 reasons, and really 2 reasons this episode ranked so high. So, on the alternate Earth, you have Owlman, he's the villain, and who is the hero of that world? The Red Hood, and it's no Jason Todd.
You help me. Is that some kind of sick joke?
It's what you invited me here for, isn't it?
In our world, on our planet, what we would call Earth Prime or whatever, we have Batman, who is good, and the Joker, who is evil. I love that they did the Red Hood in this. Like, I love that they had a good version of the Joker, and it was Red Hood. Because It's a big enough part of Joker's backstory, and it always depends on the story with the Joker, of course, but it's something that hadn't really been explored in animation outside of this. So I'm glad that this show finally did it. They were like, hey, guess what? The Red Hood, Joker.
What? Don't like surprises?
Something else I absolutely love about this, though, is once Owlman gets into our Batman's world, Batman goes into his world, but once he comes back to his own world, I'm sorry if that confused the hell out of you, because I'm not even sure what I just said. But once he comes back to his world, Owlman is dressed as Batman. He had escaped the prison he was being held in, and his costume is basically the Justice League Unlimited Batman costume, which I freaking love. I love that suit is used so much in this show, because it's obviously a suit many DC and Batman fans have seen already in animation and are attached to. And we eventually get to see several of different Batman from all kinds of different Earths. And it's just awesome seeing that many Batman together on screen from time to time. Moving on to runner-up on the list, number 2, Trials of the Demon. This is an Etrigan episode, but the significance of this episode is that Batman teams with Sherlock Holmes to solve a case. I say teams, that is a term I use loosely. They are working together, they are finding evidence, they are very impressed with one another, and Sherlock decides to go off by himself so he can solve this mystery before Batman does.
My dear Watson, if I'm to solve the case before this Batman, that's exactly what I must do.
And I like that, because it's the two greatest fictional detectives in all of history, Sherlock Holmes and Batman. And the case is a supernatural one. The victims, their soul have been sucked out of them, so Etrigan's involvement in this is very genius. Of course, he is the one to initially be blamed, and he's the entire reason that Batman gets pulled to that time period anyway. And the ending is just so satisfying when Sherlock asks Batman before he leaves, "How did you deduce my identity so quickly?" And Batman's response is just,
"Everyone knows who you are. You're the world's greatest detective."
And at number 1 is Legends of the Dark Might.
Mr. Zero! Kite Man! And Zebra Man!
Oh my god, if you are a Batman fan, if you haven't seen this episode, do yourself a favor and go watch it, because I love all the episodes before this, but this was easily, no contest, number 1 for the season 1 episodes. It's the first Batmite episode, and Batmite, a character I had no idea existed before this show came out, and I had caught parts of this show when I was a kid. I had seen this episode, Legends of the Dark Might. I think it might have actually been the first episode I ever saw, because I remember seeing the Polka Dot Man and Killer Moth, having no earthly idea who either of them were. I might have known Killer Moth because of the Lego Batman game, but yeah, the Polka Dot Man, Zebra Man, Tiger Shark, there's so many Batman villains that are referenced in this episode, and so many different versions of Batman. They, of course, have the Dark Knight Returns, they reference the Clooney Batman, they reference Adam West 66. It's amazing. It's amazing. If you are a Batman fan, watch this episode, because it goes so deep into the mythos, has so many callbacks, so many homages to Batman over the course of history.
Too psycho.
Stop.
There's a scene where Batmite turns Calendar Man into the Calendar King, and he can transform any holiday icon or any holiday theme to life. So he has an army of jack-o'-lanterns and biker Santa Clauses, mutant Easter bunnies, and they break the freaking fourth wall in this episode. Or they don't even break the fourth wall. That's not how I should put this. But they call out every single Batman fan that looked at this show and didn't give it a chance, or looked at this show and went, yeah, that's not my Batman, which was kind of me when I was a kid. And said, look, but this is still Batman. It still ties back to his roots in a caring way. Even though this is a lighter Batman, he is still that 8-year-old boy that lost his parents in Crime Alley, crying out for them.
But it's certainly no less valid and true to the character's roots as the tortured Avenger crying out for mommy and daddy.
Paul Dini and Bruce Timm also get cameos as the Joker and Harley Quinn, which, with how much I love Batman the Animated Series, thank you. Thank you for giving them that little homage and a little respect paid to the past. But this ranking went a lot longer than I was expecting it to, I'll be honest. Let me know what you thought about it down in the comments below. Let me know your ranking. What is your favorite Season 1 episode? What are some of your favorite Season 1 episodes? What do you think of the series as a whole? Let me know down in the comments below. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next time.
Merry Christmas to you too, Alfred. But crime doesn't take a holiday, and neither do I.